My hilarious snap judgments aside, there were questions to be asked. The government was facing criticism over its response to the crisis. And presently, poor Peter Pandemic was picked up over the PPE pickle by a progressively prickly press pack.
There's this boy called Matt Hancock who's in charge of the National Health Factory. Every day on the government briefing show, journalists kept materialising on a screen to ask questions from the little rooms. And he had to answer most of the queries like he was in a sort of call centre in hell.
Health and care workers are saying to us they are still struggling in some cases to get that equipment. They feel unsafe.
The journalist kept asking whether NHS staff had protection. I mean, as if they're going to be shagging anyway during a pandemic. The bloke nurses probably can't even get proper wood because they're worried about other things, like the lack of masks.
The press people also kept saying the NHS staff weren't being given enough tests, which is mad. Surely the situation's stressful enough without making them sit exams. Anyway, Matt Hancock was under loads of pressure, so he promised there'd be 100,000 tests a day by the end of April.
I am now setting the goal of 100,000 tests per day by the end of this month.
And then afterwards he realised people had heard him say that, so now he had to deliver. They opened up drive-through testing centres for people who had coronavirus in a car. You wound down your window and a stranger would stick a swab in your mouth, but they weren't very popular and looked empty half the time. If they'd let you order chicken nuggets, they might have had more uptake. I suggested that to them at the time, but they didn't even reply to any of my emails. Then they ramped the testing up and posted loads of kits out and did 2-for-1 offers on them and all sorts. And sure enough, Matt Hancock hit his target just in time.
Then, some journalists noticed 40,000 of the tests hadn't actually happened yet, and some of them had been done on the same people twice. And people moan about that, but they're missing a point, which is that if the virus thinks we can do 100,000 tests a day, there's a good chance it'll call off the invasion and we can all go back to normality again. If we can remember what that's like.
We must stay alert, control the virus, and save lives.
Recently, Boris Johnson did an Open University lecture to explain how he's going to loosen the lockdown using diagrams and some sort of algebra. People complained that the government's advice was getting more confusing by the day, which was clever in itself because confused people tend to stand still going, instead of moving around spreading germs, and if they cough, their hands are already over their mouths.